He then turned around and started a company called the American Music Corporation. And then he sold that. And then in 2012, because he's a car guy, he's a car aficionado, he bought a company called Mullen Motors in 2012. And then in 2014, created Mullen Technologies. And tonight, you are going to hear a lot more about Mullen Technologies. But let me introduce you the creator, Mr. David Michery. David?
Let me thank everyone for attending our event. Let me thank John Riley here with Westpark and his associates, my staff, for creating something real special here. We're going to show you in this presentation, and hopefully you can take away what we have created and what we believe is, imagine what's possible. Isn't that beautiful? Let me hand this back out to John Riley.
So now we're going to begin this presentation. And before we begin, you all saw that most amazing vehicle out on the lawn. Well, that vehicle is actually one component of Mullen Technology, okay? Mullen has 3 divisions. It has its electric vehicle division, it has its retail auto sales division, and it has its car hub division. And all of that is supported by a recent development where the state of Washington, city of Spokane, has authorized a revenue bond to build a manufacturing, assembly, and distribution center up to 1.3 million square feet, starting with 100,000 square feet in interim space sometime in July or August. But that space will be the base of operations where Mullen will expand into. So with no further ado, I'd like to introduce the Chief Information Officer who's going to tell you all about it. His name is William Johnston. William?
Thank you, everybody, for coming. I'm really excited to tell you about Mullen as an organization, okay? So we like to think of ourselves as automotive, from design, distribution, to an online digital platform, synergizing to create the complete life cycle of vehicle ownership. A company isn't just about its products, it's about its people. And we have to convey that we have the experience in order to fulfill this vision. So as you can see here, your leadership team comes with experience from traditional OEMs, new energy vehicles such as Byton and Karma, as well as from the financial sector and from the online automotive space. So I'm really excited to launch to you today the newest vision in automotive retail, and that is automotive retail as an experience through our Mullen Lounge Point. Okay? So what is Mullen Lounge Point? It's no longer going to be walking into a traditional brick and mortar store where you get served cold coffee and wait behind a line for a service queue as you take your ticket out of the slot. Imagine walking into a warm and an inviting place where you want to sample artisanal coffees while you wait for your vehicle to get serviced, or to find out about the latest offerings coming to you through kiosks or other platforms. Imagine wanting to meet at a workspace and a conference center, all in the comfort of one of our lounge points. So we want to focus on giving our users a premium experience throughout the entirety of the process of purchasing a vehicle or plugging into our platforms. So where will these stores be located? Well, 75% out of all of EV car sales are sold in California. So we're going to start concentrating on these high adoption rates first. We're going to start off in California, followed by the rest of the coasts. We're going to be concentrating our stores in locations that have a neighborhood feel to them. We want people to truly know and experience our vision of these stores. Also, imagine walking into one of these stores, you do research on a vehicle, and it tells you that you want a Chianti K50 is your best choice, right? So you will be able to go onto a kiosk, click on a button, and start the process of buying a car. And that's all through our online digital platform, CarHub. Okay. So CarHub, the team envisioned a time when car buying process was easy. Traditionally, people think of going to buying a car just as you would think about going to the dentist, right? It's not a very pleasurable, it's a very overly complex, very difficult thing to endure for most people. So they wanted to make that process much easier and connect the people in an online ecosystem that tied everything together. So how do you get that started? How do you get that ball rolling? So they created a device that provides 1,500 different data points from their car back through an application. And through this application, they're able to get trouble codes, warranty information, but it also allows them to have access to much more information. Okay? So through this, we're able to provide them affiliated services, from warranties to financial, and they'll be able to schedule a service ticket directly from their application. All the while, they are connected into Molin's ecosystem. So there are over 260 million cars on US roadways today, and this is a completely underserved market. Right? So how can we make money off of this? Well, this device is completely 100% free to our customers. Right? So they get the device, they plug it into their OBD2 port, install the app, which they can do at the comfort of their home or at one of our Molin Lounge Point locations. And through that, also gives us a tremendous opportunity to capture a tremendous amount of data that we could then better serve our customers. And so that adds a very valuable big data product to our product line. Okay. So first, I'm going to talk about our Molin electric vehicles. Okay. So why did we enter the EV marketplace? Okay. I don't think anybody in this room here questions, the value and the expandability of the EV marketplace. And you can see here, year on year, the growth is exponential. And all the way up through 2025, we expect to sell 1.25 million EVs in the United States every single year. Okay. So first, we'll talk about the Molin K50. Okay. Honestly, pictures don't do it justice. I think everybody out here saw the vehicle, and you're welcome to experience more about the vehicle in a more intimate setting afterwards as well. And I really am excited about this vehicle because it has had a tremendous response that you'll hear later on from Eric, our VP of Marketing. So after our homologation is complete, sometime later next year, we are targeting sales in 2020 starting at around $145,000. As you can see here, these aren't unknown supplier components. These are all big names in the industry, from Brembo to Bosch to Pirelli tires. They really did partner with great suppliers. So next, I'd like to bring up our Molin's Chief Technology Officer as well as its Chief Engineer to talk about the future of Molin, and that is through our Otava brand.
And I'd like to thank everybody else as well for attending. So the first vehicle that William went through is a lower volume, high-end performance, all electric sports vehicle. That's low. Not the segment we want to be in. Obviously, is more mass market. And what Otava is a brand that we've created to enter into that mass market. We're looking at delivering a mid-premium all-electric SUV. Mid-premium meaning somewhere in the $55,000 to $60,000 range. Where do we see ourselves positioned relative to the players that are out there? A blend between the new tech companies, if you will, that are offering products where technology is a differentiator, risk to launch, high cost, and trying to offer those type of items, blended with your traditional proven processes, background, large OEMs. What's our formula? If you wanted to describe kind of the essence of our brand, this kind of reads as a formula from left to right. Safety always has to be the first thing you always talk about, always, with no exception. 5-star rating being the only goal, right? Efficiency. What you find a lot out there right now is a lot of discussion about range and range only, range on the brain. Everything is 300 miles, 400 miles, 500 miles. Range equals mass, range equals money, range equals lack of efficiency. Yeah, there's range anxiety. There is a certain range that you need to have to get consumer confidence. But what is that? What is that blend? How can I afford a mid-premium SUV? How can I put mid-premium back into the electric vehicle at the mid-premium price? And so there's a somewhat of a sacrifice, I guess, if you will, somewhat in range, and we're targeting 220 miles for our base pack as an EPA range. So that helps us reduce the mass, reduce the cost. It allows us to put a lot of that additional COGS, cost of goods sold, if you will, back into the premium features of the vehicle. There's a lot of electric vehicles out there that they're mid-premium costs. They're 55, 60 grand, but when you sit down in them, I'm not going to name names, but you sit down in them, you have one big infotainment screen, and everything else feels relatively cheap or inexpensive, plasticky, uncomfortable seats. So we want to bring mid-premium back into mid-premium. Performance, we want to get down below 4 seconds, mainly because that's the marketing demand. There's a lot of marketing hype and vape out there. Do we need to get to 1.9 seconds, 2.3 seconds? No. That costs money, it costs development time, and there's a risk to launch as well. So this is the formula, if you will. We don't need to win Pikes Peak hill climb, and we don't need to beat a fighter jet down the runway. What market segment do we want to be in? We thought about this a lot too, long term. On the left side, the economy segment, EV. There's a lot of people coming in to the EV space. Every OEM is trying to make the most inexpensive electric vehicle they can, and that's a very difficult space for a young organization like us to be in when you have low purchasing power. The high performance luxury vehicle, you see the Cheontu Dragonfly there. Yeah, that's our initial offering that bursts us out into the scene. It gets us known. It gets us a product out there at a relatively very low capital expenditure and low time to market, but that's not where we want to be at. So the area we want to live in is this premium mid-luxury segment, the $55,000 to $60,000 mid-premium SUV. When we launch this vehicle, We're looking at 1.5% to 2% market share is what our whole business model was based on, which takes us up to volumes in the 20 to 25,000 range, which is very conservative. What size or segment do we want to be in? There's no question that we want to be in the SUV segment. If you add up these total volumes, there were 17 million vehicles sold in the United States last year. 1/3 of all of them are SUVs. The highest growth area was a midsize, but the highest segment was the compact. So we positioned ourselves kind of in the crossover between those two. Here you can see some general dimensions and some comparative analysis that we have. You don't really see any electric vehicles up here other than the I-Pace, which is far to the left, which is a lot further north than our price point. The other vehicles that we have up here are there to show size, feel, and comparison of what kind of mid-luxury is, or mid-luxury, what we're comparing mid-luxury to. What's going to allow us to get to market faster, it's going to allow us to reduce our capital expenditure significantly, it's going to bring us a quality product, and bring a tremendous amount of expertise, experience, design standards, practices, procedures. Is a licensing agreement and partner with a very top-tier European OEM. So first offering, we're going to homologate a high-performance sports vehicle. Second offering is a ground-up design, not a complete ground-up design, although it is Mullen-controlled design where we're going to lean heavily on our partner to deliver this vehicle. A sneak peek kind of at an early artistic rendering, design theme, design sketch of what this vehicle is. It's ambiguous on purpose. I don't want everybody to exactly see what the vehicle is going to look like. But a real key, our focus on styling. There's no reason to sacrifice styling. In my mind, it costs just as much money to make an ugly car as it does to make a good-looking car. No sacrifice in this department. What other technology? So other core technology we want to bring into the space. One of the key things that is really going to spike the sale of EVs, two things. Improved charging infrastructure, which is happening daily. A lot of private firms improving that. The second thing is if you bring the variable cost between a BEV and an ICE down to zero, right now it's roughly, I don't say $5,000 to $7,000, $5,000 to $10,000 in some cases, variable cost between the same ICE versus BEV. So if we can bring that variable cost down to zero, you'll see a huge spike, I believe, in demand for electric vehicles. So we're working, we're in the midst of a joint development agreement with a top Fortune 50 patent-rich research and development organization to deliver the next lithium battery technology. What allows this technology, what allows us to reduce the price of this is that other than the lithium, there are no real precious, expensive metals in this chemistry. That allows us to bring the piece cost down. We can deliver the same range as, let's say, a standard, if you take let's just, because we all understand this, you use a Tesla 100D battery pack, it weighs about 1,200 pounds, right? We can produce the same range at less than 50% that mass, under 600 pounds. That's the biggest, besides the cost and the mass, that is the biggest advantage of this technology. It's in a research and development phase right now. We're 2 years away from a working level prototype and 3 years away from an actual production viable solution for the EV space. I can't explain enough what reducing a mass of a vehicle by 600 pounds means. Huge, right? Huge. It's performance. The other thing is mass begets mass. The more mass I add to a vehicle, the more mass I have to add to a vehicle to stop that mass in the event of an impact. And that, in turn, continues to reduce efficiency. So, again, going back to that slide where I said safety, efficiency, range, performance, there's a reason for that. We need to get back to the mindset where we're talking miles per gallon. I'm using miles because everybody understands that. Miles per gallon, not miles. We need to talk watt hours per mile. not just range. We got to get back to thinking about efficiency. And with this and with our design, we could have some of the best efficiency of any EV on the road potentially. And that was it from the tech space, the vehicle space, and battery space. I want to hand it over to our VP of Marketing, Eric Graciano. He's put in a ton of work in the last month. We've got a lot of great media coverage, and I'd like him to talk about it because he put a lot of effort and time into this.
How's everyone doing? Good. Well, there's a keyword in the whole presentation, and is efficiency, right? So we want to make it clear that efficiency is a very important element within the operation of our company, even within how we market our company. I think a sign of success on that is to show a little bit of how far we have gotten with so little. And the New York Auto Show, as our debut for our brand, as well as for our first vehicle, is an example of that. And we had used a little bit of coverage, as you can see, with over 100 million views. To be in a new brand is not bad at all. And that's with primarily hard work from the team, with very little investment. And that's how we run the company, with very, very efficient operations by being smart about increasing the ROI in everything we do. And that's how I run my division as well on the marketing side, to make sure that every cent that we're spending is bringing as much as possible. And for the investment community, I think that's very important. Just a little bit of the positive, very, very positive feedback, both from the consumer and from the media, that give us a very good feedback and insights that we're heading in the right direction, but also just proves the point that we are in the right place and we're heading to the right direction as well. So yeah, that's just a little bit big. Now I'm gonna bring Colin to talk a little bit about the manufacturing plans. You got this?
Anybody has any questions so far? Because we're going through this like full speed. Yes, please.
It's not supercars, but we do plan on, thank you for turning the mic on. We do plan on coming out in production sub-4, because it means something out there in the community. Do we need to go 0 to 60 in 1.9 seconds?
0 to 60 is really meaningless.
Yeah, so
40 to 65.
40 to 65, it's got amazing pickup, right? In top end at 125 right now. It's got a single speed gearbox, that's why it's at 125, but there's things we could do there. So afraid to, I think, market it as supercar, because we're always gonna get this thrown back at us. A Tesla can go 0 to 60 in 1.9 seconds. So a Tesla also costs north of $300,000 when it comes out, the Roadster, the new one, right? So this is an offering at under 150. You can get into this vehicle at 139 and up to a larger range, a medium price of 150. So as an overall package, it's a great value, right? I mean, and it's got great styling, right? So, yeah, it's free. Yeah, in my mind, it's free. Yeah.
Quality is free.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I would say the variable cost between a good-looking car and an ugly car could be close to zero. Yeah. Yeah.
We
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We can tell you something. It drives
It does drive
It
nice.
drives like a sports car. Like
This is a
true
car
one.
you can drive every day, honestly. It's not something that is, I used to work for the SRT, Dodge SRT team. We used to drive Vipers around. Viper's not a car you can drive every day, all right? It's extremely crude and extremely uncomfortable. This is a car that you can drive every day, really, yeah.
Anybody else? Any questions? No? Okay, let's move to manufacturing then. So we picked West Plains Airport area in Spokane, Washington. It is a large development area that fits our plans. And you see the area is next to an airport. And we picked Washington State is very happy to have us over there. And we will start with a small assembly area for the sports car, for the Dragonfly. And we'll continue, that would be in 2020. And we'll continue with the SUV. Gradually, in parallel, I would say. So once we start production with this Dragonfly, we keep going into the next, our SUV.
Let me just explain if you don't mind. Thank you. Spokane, Washington. The state of Washington put up a revenue bond for us to go vertical with an assembly facility. So how this is gonna lay itself out is more modular approach. You're not gonna come out and facilitize a $500 million assembly plant right away. The first offering is the K50. The K50, we will buy components and do the final assembly here. So we just need a general assembly facility. The general assembly facility will be sized for the next vehicle, but we'll go up immediately to produce the first vehicle. The next vehicle, we'll do full assembly. We need a body shop, we need a paint shop. So then it will be a campus style. Then
Let me compliment you on that.
If you don't mind.
So we have,
Yeah.
we have 1.3, our plan, we have a concept plan already developed, which includes a 1.3 million square feet of space for our complete assembly plant. But we go in stages, as Frank said, and the volumes are reflected right there. In 2020, we plan to produce 300 cars, and then in 2021, 650, 3,600, so on and so forth, up to 32,000 vehicles per year. And it all happens gradually, increase, ramp up production. I should stop and ask you, do you have any questions on manufacturing, how we do things? And there's a lot to talk about, but you touched a good point. The sports car, we just assemble from kits. We receive parts from China and we assemble them. Most of the parts come from China, some of the parts here.
With the state of Washington put up the revenue bond for us to go vertical, really to outfit from an equipment layout standpoint, it's really roughly around $15 million for us to get to an assembly facility that can produce the K50 as compared to $350 million or higher. That's on the low end, depending on volumes, all the way up to $1 billion for some organizations to get into an assembly facility to produce their first car.
Have anyone here seen an assembly plant, a car assembly plant? Look at these people.
Yeah.
You should stay up front here. No? Okay, which one, if I may ask? The Fremont? Okay. It is.
Sure.
So you know exactly what's going on into an assembly plant, a lot. The project is massive. We can't do it overnight. It cannot be done in 2020, but we start, and we already started. So we have the plans, we have the space, and we are going to build. All right? Let's see what's next.
I can walk us through just the last
Financial,
couple slides. Can I have the clicker?
Yes.
Thank you. This is a snapshot of a blended electric vehicle model. We show it going out to 2027 because usually you have 5-year runs on vehicles. And the Otava branded SUV would launch in 2022 and we'd run out 5 years. And this is just a blended model. There's a full working level business model that we put together, fully updatable. If anybody is interested on the details of the development cost and the assumptions that went into the development cost, myself and Colin, we know this inside and out. So you're more than willing, afterwards to engage us or through John as well to set up, individual one-on-ones if you'd like to go through it. If you're have any inquiries about our financing or what's our path that we're taking, our group CEO David Mystery is here. You can engage him directly and or again go through John if you'd like to set up one-on-one. The last slide though I'd like to show is this is a development process that we have put in place. It shows the timeline of series of events that we're going to go through to deliver the all-electric SUV with an agreement with our European partner as well here. So we're between this blue diamond, BPD and PS. PS means program starts. Some people would think as soon as you start working on a program, it starts. Well, there's a series of checks and balances, series of checks that we have to go through before we decide a program is viable. When the program is proven viable, we move forward. We're at that point already, but our start date is still out in October. So each one of these gates represents it's a gate in a development cycle. In between these gates are milestones, and they're extensive milestones that we have to check off, that we've met internally. We've met our cost structure, we've met our timing structure, we're on path with the design. We know the market, we've identified the market. We're heading down the right road because the spend curve is on top. The amount of money to spend between these gates is quite a bit. So before we run headlong through a gate off in the wrong direction, there's a lot of money to be spent afterwards. So you could be running headlong into the wrong direction. So, and it's hard sometimes to reel it back. So there's a gate system, there's milestones, there's checks and balances internally. We don't proceed forward. We don't spend the next allotment of money until we make sure that we're on the right track and we've met the requirements we need to meet at each step of the way. That's the end of our presentation. Thank you. Again, we have Eric, our VP of Marketing. We've got Colin Popa, who is the CEO of our automotive division. We got our group CEO, David Mishry, William Johnson, our CIO, and myself. I'm Frank McMahon. We're available for any questions. We'd welcome you to come out and spend more time around the car. I'll be out around the car. Any questions you have, you feel free to ask me. All right, thank you.
So you can see that this company has got a lot to offer and has put together, I think, a value proposition that is excellent. And so I'd like to let everyone know, obviously we invited you here as for a investor showcase. The company has an offering right now that we're offering up to $35 million in a private placement. That would be at a 30% discount to the public offering price when we take the company public, which may be this October or the first quarter of 2020, whatever is the right thing to do. So if anyone wants to have a further discussion on that or more detailed discussion on that, please see me. Obviously, any discussion around the company, you're welcome to talk with any of the executives, but I'm sort of here heading up the private placement from Westpark Capital's point of view. And I also have my associates here. I have Ben Markowitz, who's a vice president in the firm. He's here. And I have Jerry Fan, who's an associate in the firm. And so we're pretty excited about this company, and we believe it is going to be a very, very good investment. So anyway, obviously you also see our strategy. I put 3 bottles of wine on every table. So the idea is drink up, right? Enjoy, talk, get your questions out, okay? Make friends, whatever, okay? So anyway, we're going to have dessert and coffee too, so enjoy the evening. Thank you very much for coming.